Hi guys, this is App Unwrapper. I'm back with the rec on iOS and I'm going to pick up where I left off. Enjoy!
What does it mean to be a mother? Is it being 100% focused on your child? Is it always knowing what to do? Never having any doubt? Is it sacrificing your ambitions? If you do all that, are you automatically a good mom? And what if you don't manage it? Does that make you a bad mom? I've asked myself all of these questions a lot. Do you want to try and find an answer together? Good mom? Bad mom? Maybe I should start with telling you the fun moments. I was so fired up by your birth. I felt like I was high on drugs. I was taking care of you, working, seeing friends. I was living. Alex and I even became involved in politics. We were trading weekends to attend climate marches. I was ready to fight to make a change in the world. It kind of came out of nowhere. I was feeling gunky and I was a bit late, so I decided to take a test without putting too much stock into it. And here is the picture I sent to your dad. I remember that the stick wasn't even dry yet. Can you imagine the surprise? I'll admit that back then, I didn't know whether I would be pregnant one day. In my head, there were a ton of reasons why I wouldn't be. I could be infertile. Maybe my hips weren't built properly. I would probably have a bunch of miscarriages. And especially, I was not up to the task of becoming a mother. Except... as soon as I saw the test, my head exploded, my little fawn. I was happy. Just happy. Nothing else. It was an incredible feeling. That was the year before you were born. Alex had been on my ass to get in touch with the friend of a cousin of one of his friends who was a producer. Anyway, I was supposed to schedule a meeting with him during the next Cannes festival. I wasn't planning on going to Cannes at all. But I did what I was told. I managed to slip into a party where I eventually met the guy, and it worked out. Yeah. We spent the night smoking cigs, sounding off about the worst turkeys from the festival. And a few weeks later, I was writing a spec for a series. Thus, within the span of a year, I delivered 2 babies. Astrid, in January, just over 8 pounds, hungry as a wolf, and a mug to die for. And then, my first professional screenplay in August. 47 pages. A veritable leap forward in my career. All of a sudden, things just fell into place. I was a screenwriter. I was getting paid for writing. Sure, it was a crappy series, but that turd paid very well. I was so proud of everything that was happening to me. And at the same time, I lost sleep over it for weeks. Because there were some dark thoughts too. The ones your light could not dispel. $58 tons per year. A kid equals 58 tons of carbon dioxide per year. That's the same as 58 plane trips to New York and back, or burning 50 tons of coal. Having a baby in this world, as everything was collapsing around us, that was a stupid idea. You didn't really get the chance to witness it, but this is a funny time we're living in. Imagine having an incredible daughter and a job you've wanted forever, and then you get glued to a screen, and it bums you out. I would see people on social media, people I would never even have heard of in real life. And they were great parents, great artists, working on great stuff, having great success. Everybody seemed way ahead of me. And it felt like it was my fault for being so behind. How dared I aspire to being happy? A couple of months before you were born, Marie showed up with a cardboard box under her arm. She had found the mobile. When I was preparing for your arrival, I hung it above your crib. After you were born, I would spend hours watching it turn every time you breathed. It was always moving, finding its balance. Wonderful. Alive. Just like you, and also so fragile. Way too delicate. A mere gust of wind could have shattered it to a million pieces. Just like you. I found it adorable that Marie came to bring us this mobile. And yet, I was scared when I learned I was pregnant. I was scared at the mere idea of telling her. It was beyond me. I panicked. So I decided to hide you for as long as I could. Obviously, she eventually noticed that I was pregnant. And her reaction was unexpected. She was jumping for joy. Why had I been so scared? It seemed so silly. I know breastfeeding while on a cell phone isn't exactly what you picture from a perfect mother. Well, that only happened once. Or maybe twice. Or a bunch of times, actually. I loved connecting with you, It was a magnetic force. Time disappeared when I looked into your eyes. But sometimes I was overwhelmed by everything else. The earth that keeps on spinning. The anxiety of not doing enough. Projects at a standstill while others are going full speed. And then the fear that it would all stop. That's always a little bit there. But I think I was stronger than that in the end. Oh, wow. I just remembered something that happened years ago. I guess I was 16 or 17 years old. I was in my room, staring at this mobile instead of doing my homework. I don't know why I'd kept it hung to the ceiling up to that day. Marie was in the next room, the living room, giving an interview. It was a first. I overheard her talking to the journalist with a soft voice. She was obviously trying to win her over. It was funny at first. She was giving all these juicy details about the crazy nights of a female artist in the 80s. And then she said she got pregnant after one of those nights. And at that time, she seriously thought about giving up the child. And suddenly, I understood That child, the one she didn't want, that mistake, that was me. To me, being a mom was one of the greatest joys in my life. I wanted to feel you growing inside of me and then meet you and live all that, the whole experience. And writing was the same. I really wanted to do it, and then I actually did. I wanted these things. I bore them and I cherished them. But I struggled with them too, because I was scared. I had doubts, but really most of all I had this lingering feeling that maybe I shouldn't have been there. And when I lost you, and writing had lost its meaning, that feeling came back with a vengeance. This feeling, this knowledge that whatever I do, it is not enough.
Why are you sorry?
It's hard to be a good parent when you're a damaged adult. You become responsible for a life. That requires courage, confidence, and a lot of nerve. And it's really easy to get it wrong.
What does that mean?
How can I explain? For the first few months of your life, you were like an extension of me. You couldn't talk, you couldn't walk, you could barely see, actually. And I was feeding you out of my own body.
Yuck.
Yeah, yuck! Having your life in my hands. That funny feeling. That's what being a mom was all about to me. And then one day... you got sick. It just looked like a cold at first. Alex would wash your nose twice a day with saline. Pulling neon yellow snot tentacles out of your nose amused him no end. I couldn't do it. Then, things got worse. One Friday night, I was alone with you. You started having difficulty breathing. You were in the living room, stacking wooden cubes, and I just kept staring at your chest. You were struggling to get enough air into your lungs. I tried copying your breathing, and I got woozy. It set my head spinning.
So, what did you do?
I wrapped you in a baby carrier and I ran outside. It was the fall. I remember the ground being littered with sticky leaves. I called Alex on the way, but he couldn't understand me. I could hardly speak clearly. I was so scared that you were going to die. And when I got to the doctor's office, I was a mess. The doctor asked me what was wrong with you, and I said that you were having difficulty breathing, and he was so calm. He made me want to smash his teeth in. He asked me to put you down on the examination table and take your shirt off so he could listen to your breathing. And when he got close to you with his stethoscope...
What happened?
You peed on him.
Excuse me?
This beautiful golden stream. A perfect arc from your hoo-ha to his coat.
Awkward.
Well, you didn't mind at the time. You were chirping and staring at him. And he said, well, this little girl looks perfectly healthy. And I started crying.
Well, yeah, you must have been relieved.
I thought so at the time. But it was more than that. I can see it now. The most important part of being a parent, and also the hardest lesson to learn. You need to trust your children.
Trust them to pee on doctors?
Trust them to live. You weren't there so I could feel like a good mother. You were there to live your life, to become yourself. Seems obvious, doesn't it? But I didn't see it. So I spent a lot of my time feeling guilty. Telling myself that I didn't deserve you.
What? I don't believe it. I was your biggest fan, you know?
Really?
Of course. You were relentless. You even found the time to work on your scripts. You were working your ass off to make your stories amazing while you were busy taking care of me. How did you manage to be strong like that?
I mean, your father was there as well.
I know! Imagine! 2 kids at home!
Oh, come on.
Mom, you know I love Dad with all my heart. But in my view, he probably regards mental fortitude as a kind of superpower.
Okay. It was really hard. I almost gave up so many times. My career wasn't going where I wanted, certainly not as fast as I wanted, but I held on.
I'm not sure why one is fated and one is like. Is the game telling me to choose that? I'm not sure.
You gave me so much energy.
I presume I took a lot too.
Of course, sweetie. I often wish you had an off switch, especially when I saw my face in the mirror the next morning. But that was just a detail. Every morning was magical. I'd grab you in my arms. You'd smile back. You trusted me. I had no more doubt, no more questions. I knew exactly who I was. No one had ever looked at me that way. What an incredible gift.
It's just a shame you spent your best years writing for soap opera.
Wow! You do a great Marie impression. It's a bit silly, isn't it?
What is...
All of this. Me talking to you right now.
I really don't know.
You're not even real.
Hey! Just because I'm dead doesn't mean you can be rude.
Marie is on death's door and I'm out here chatting with my daughter's ghost?
I told you I'm not a ghost. And I love chatting with you, just getting to know you better.
It's a little late for that, don't you think?
It's never too late for a good story. That's what you always said.
I say a lot of stupid stuff.
And if you'd written down half the ones you taught me at bedtime, you'd be rich. Do you remember the one with the horse tribe that does karate?
Ninja Palooza?
Yeah, it was so good. And the duck who kept solving crimes around the farm while drunk.
Inspector Drunkass. No one is going to publish that.
That's too bad. It would be a lot better than Marie's books of Russian folk tales.
Those books were a snooze fest.
Right?
Then why did you hug her so hard every time she bought you a new set?
Because you can be a child and still know how to be diplomatic. Where are you up to with your script?
I haven't looked at it in ages.
Is your job for Grandma taking too much time?
Getting myself out of bed is taking too much time.
Oh, come on, stop it. The whole depressive thing doesn't suit you.
And, to be honest, I'm not too fond of the whole petulant tween thing. I liked it better when you were 4 years old.
What are you going to do? Give me a spanking?
No, I suppose you're too old for that. Oh, you've grown up so much. A proper mini Astrid Hofferson.
Astrid Hofferson? Who's that?
It's a long story.
Ah, my favorite kind.
Okay, but I know you, so you can't interrupt me, okay?
Okay.
When I was pregnant, I spent a lot of time at home. And I used that time to watch a lot of movies.
All thanks to me.
Exactly. You weren't even born yet, but I already loved you so much. Except one day, the internet went down. So, I was forced to comb through your father's nerdy DVDs. And the best I could find was this cartoon.
Now hold on a second. What's wrong with cartoons?
The opinions of a Peppa Pig fan mean nothing to me. Although, you are right. It was really good.
What was it? What was it about?
It was called How to Train Your Dragon. It was about dragons.
I love dragons.
Of course you do. I don't. Dragons are tacky. But there was this great character in the movie.
Astrid Hofferson.
Yes, Astrid Hofferson. She was a young and courageous Viking. Her belt was made of skulls.
So cool. So she's the hero?
Of course not. The hero is a bumbling idiot who we're supposed to sympathize with just because he has a shitty father. Let's not forget, the movie was written by a bunch of Hollywood guys. But still, Astrid is a great character. Especially because she has a really useful asset. She's not afraid to change her mind. Her tribe has always hated dragons, however, when she meets one, within like 30 seconds, she understands that he's cool. Do you realize how much courage that takes?
I guess change is always hard.
Very hard. But maybe a little bit less so if you learn how to do it when you're young. And she's also really supportive of Harold, the idiot hero. When he's doubting himself, she's there for him. Not to snuggle, though. Quite the reverse. She shakes him up. She chews him out. All of this leading up to the realization that he can make it on his own. I thought that was beautiful. I told your dad that night and he laughed. He said he'd always loved that character too.
And that's why my name is Astrid?
It is. We were hoping you would become a warrior, a rebel, sensitive and smart. Someone like Astrid Hofferson.
Someone like you.
Excuse me?
Don't be modest. You've done pretty well so far.
Wait, what do you mean by so far?
Well, with Auntie Jan and Dad. You struggled for a bit, but eventually you managed to find the right words. That was impressive.
Oh, not really. I'm lost. I'm completely lost. My brain is a mess.
I've seen worse.
Really?
Do you remember my room? Now that was a mess.
Oh, my little fawn. Before you were born, I was so terrified.
Of what? The delivery?
No. Which is weird, actually, because objectively speaking, the thought of pushing a head as big as a coconut through my vagina...
Mom, you're so gross. I mean, it's not like you're gonna traumatize me, but I meant to be like 9, remember? So what was it that was so scary then?
I was going to share my life with someone for the first time.
But you were already sharing it with Dad.
It's not the same, little dear. We love each other very much, me and your dad, but we knew that it could always evaporate. I still care about him a lot, but things will never be the same between us. With you, I knew it was for life.
And that was scary?
I was a little afraid of losing myself. But I also loved the idea. When you were born, I knew only one thing. I'd never be alone again. That's how it was supposed to be. But I screwed it up. I was a shitty parent. Just like I was a shitty daughter and a shitty wife. And I lost you.
Mom, stop. You didn't lose me. You really think that I... what? Disappeared?
I abandoned you. And I think about it all the time, whenever I close my eyes.
What happens when you close your eyes?
I feel the shards of glass on my skin, on my clothes, beneath my feet. I see the crown of your hair, sparkling like a tiny sunshine on the tarmac. And then, I see your open eyes. How can I ever be happy with that tattooed on my eyelids?
Mom, maybe you should stop thinking about it. Thinking about it like that, I mean.
I don't want to. I mustn't. If I stopped thinking about it, that would be like killing you all over again. Astrid? Don't leave me, Astrid. I don't want you to leave.
Oi.
I know. That's what I need to focus on. I think it's coming back. Yes, it is. Just try a little harder, you know. I need to dig deeper.
Really? Do I have to? Do I need to recall this particular exhibit of Marie's? It's a nice memory for her, obviously, but for me it's pretty bitter, even though I can't explain why exactly. A lot of memories came back to me that night. I would stand in the middle of the gallery with my eyes closed and they'd crop up as if they were connected in some way. Come to think of it, there may be something to unearth in my own personal exhibit. We'll see. Let me show you around. You know this tableau, my little fawn? It's been gathering dust in the back of my personal collection. I haven't displayed it in ages. Here the artist is depicting her first day at the beach with her daughter. Do you remember? The weather was so nice that day. We had eaten ice cream under the big umbrella. Then you pulled out your little tongue, your head got close to my arm, and I felt something cold and wet above my elbow. You taste salty, you said. You started worshipping the sand as soon as we got there. You were delighted. We were already imagining you as a teenager with like 7,933 vials of sand everywhere and a subscription to Sand Fans, the Arenophile Review. Hey, if it was between that or weed, we weren't sure which would be worse. You came up to me with a huge seashell. I never understood where you found it. You handed it to me with great pomp and told me I had to write a movie about it. I complained. I don't know his life. I have no idea what he's thinking about. If he's sad or... And then you asked me, so about what is it that you write movies then? And I was speechless for a moment, but... Suddenly I felt it welling up in my heart and my stomach. Happiness. And then, that's it. That's what I wanted to write about. I'd totally forgotten this, but at one point in my life, I wanted to write about happiness. Since the dawn of time, people have needed rituals to mark the big life events. Here, the artist is depicting her final farewell to her daughter. At least that's what she thought at the time. Neither Alex nor I could picture you in a tiny coffin. We really preferred that you remained with us, like fine sand in a pretty vase. But in the end, even that was too heavy. I kept thinking about it. One day, on a whim, I made the call. I didn't tell your father. I didn't feel like explaining. I just called Diane, and I told her to meet me over there, by the sea. And she didn't ask any questions, nothing. She just said, I'll be there. I was crying when we arrived at the cliff, overlooking the beach. Diane gently took out the urn from my hands, opened it towards the sea, and she said, Donnie was a good bowler, and a good man. He was a man who loved the outdoors, and bowling. I burst out laughing, and snot splurted out of my nose all over my fucking chin. And Diane was laughing too, and 1,000 particles of you flew out around us, all up in my hair. I thought it would be freeing to see you leave like this, disappear. That was the goal of this ceremony, but now I know that it didn't work. It didn't make me feel free, rather it made me feel the emptiness. Here, the artist is depicting herself on the bus, back from the shore. Outside, the setting sun represents... something or other. Is it the end of something? Or the beginning? I looked outside the window, and this poem came to my mind. It's Lamartine. I had to learn it by heart in high school. Setting or just rising in a sky clear or gray, what good is the sun? I disregard the day. Were I to track the whole long course of his travel, my eyes would just witness all the void and gravel. I desire nothing that he could ever disperse. I don't demand a thing from the great universe. I was holding your urn against me the whole way back. It was empty, but it felt heavier than ever before. I was all by my lonesome on the bus back, with just a few specks of you. That's what I felt when I came back from the cliff. The poem, the empty bus, the urn on my knees. A void. Back then, I thought it was a good thing. I said to myself, maybe I can start writing now that this is done. And then, nothing. I remember almost every word of the pretentious card next to Marie's painting. The auto-portrait series is undoubtedly Marie de Mange's most ambitious work to date. She arranges herself in a discomfiting position, ripe with malaise, and also a certain eroticism. Self-portrait number 8 is the final entry in the series, and one of the most powerful paintings of the 21st century. I never could bring it up with Marie. but I'm sure that these paintings were actually inspired by the accident. The ground she's lying on. I can almost guarantee you it's pavement. And her discombobulated body as if her bones were broken. No one knows that except me. I believe she painted you instead of her. Why on earth would she make such a twisted thing, do you think? I couldn't believe how many paintings Marie had done since you died. Meanwhile, I couldn't write for my life. It made no sense anymore. When I left Alex, I did get started on something, as if separating from him had inspired me. But after a few months, nothing I had written was worth reading. Apparently the critics and the public loved it. That was the series from which everything started for Marie. I must say that there was something vibrant in these paintings. A sweet and vulnerable mystery in her eyes. It made me sick. Those paintings made me so angry. I kept thinking this. Marie is feeding off of my bereavement. Through her art, she managed to turn what happened into something else. Something beautiful. I, on the other hand, had nowhere left to go in that moment. I couldn't do it anymore. My bag of happiness was ripped to shreds. Thank you for visiting this exhibit with me, my little fawn. What did you learn? When I see all of this again, I wonder what made me think that making you disappear would take the pain away. Attempting to erase every bit of you meant locking me out of this incredible little room inside my heart. The place that gave me life. The place that inspired me. Now I know that I need to keep that space for you within myself, so that I can write and I can live. You're still with me.
You really think that I... What? Disappeared?
No, of course not, my little fawn. But when you died, I found myself in an impossible situation. I was thinking about you all the time. I kept telling myself it was my fault you weren't here anymore. It's awful to love someone that much, you know?
On the contrary, I think it's beautiful.
Sure, it's beautiful and awful. So, I looked for a solution.
How?
I did what I always do. I watched movies.
Like what?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's about a couple who are separating.
Mom...
I know. I just wasn't in the mood for rom-coms at the time. If I had been, I wouldn't have gone for something starring Jim Carrey. Anyway, in the movie, there's a machine that erases people's painful memories. Jim Carrey is heartbroken, so he uses that machine because that's the only way he can go on living. That's what I tried to do with you. To get you out of my mind.
Except you didn't have a machine.
No. I had medication, I had a job, and I even did a farewell ceremony. I thought that if I could get you out of my head, I might be able to feel better.
Did it work?
Of course not. Why should it? That wasn't the right way to handle things. Now I know how lucky I am. To be able to think about you every day. Even though it's hard sometimes. I think about your laugh, the one you made when your dad would attack you with a toy knight. I think about your little doodles. You came back from kindergarten every day with fistfuls of them. We filled up all the walls with them. So, we ended up having to sneak some into the garbage.
I knew it!
But I promise I always looked carefully at them before.
think about the way you would sound complicated words. Escarpment. Onomatopoeia. Cacophony. They were in stories we'd read to you. You love to parrot them back. I think about all of it, little dear. And it's a reminder that you are here with me. I carry that with me into every decision I have to make. And I won't let it go for the world. I'm better now, you know? It still hurts like hell. But I get it. I can survive this. On a good day, I can even convince myself that it could be worse. I might have never fallen in love with Alex.
Really?
Do I need to remind you that he's a video game developer? Those guys are terrible conversationalists. You've taught me all of this. You helped me open doors inside myself. That's what allowed me to grow. Of course, I'll go on without you. I have to. But it's really, really sad.
How does the movie end?
What movie?
The Eternal Sunshine of... whatever.
No. Well, Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet meet again. And since they don't remember each other, they fall in love again. But then they find old recordings of them saying horrible things about each other.
And? Do they split up again?
No. They decide to experience their relationships again because they want to recapture the good memories. Even though they know that it's going to hurt them. I loved that ending.
I know what you mean. I understand why you're sad, Mom. But you can't be sad forever. It doesn't help you, and it doesn't help me. Life's short enough as it is. Why waste any more time?
I need to be sad.
You can be so egotistical sometimes.
Excuse me?
Where do I fit into all this?
But I was just...
So what? I'm going to be a bad memory for the rest of your life? A distressing thought inside your head? Do you even realize what that means? I'm scared.
Oh, what are you scared of, my little fawn?
I'm scared that I'll disappear.
But you're already dead.
That's not the point. I'm talking about disappearing from here. This is the only place where I still exist. Just here. But I don't want to be this rusty nail that's killing you by degrees. You do realize that's not me at all? You do know that if you keep at this, I'm not going to exist anywhere. Anymore. You don't have to do this to me, Mom. You don't have to do this to yourself. How much longer do I have to make you miserable?
I know you don't deserve that, my little dear. It's all my fault.
Stop it, Mom. Just stop. You're stuck on repeat. I know that this can be easy to process. And I know that the truth hurts. But right here, right now, you're gonna have to remember. Really.
I'm not sure what you mean. What are you talking about? Astrid? Astrid! She's right. Of course she's right. I need to remember now. It's time. I think I'm ready. That's it. I remember now. Not everything, but...
You could at least crack a window. All that rain brought a cool front.
It had just rained. The road was wet and slippery.
Ah, shit, I can't drive with these heels on. I didn't sleep all night. I can't focus. Also...
I was exhausted. Stressed out. In no condition to drive. I was nervous about meeting with my producer.
Mom, watch for the deer!
I don't know why I didn't see the deer earlier. My mind must have been elsewhere. When I heard your warning, my first thought was to avoid hitting it. They were your favorite animal. So I swerved and we ran off the road. And then... What are you doing, my little fawn?
Playing with Grandma's dollhouse.
What game?
I'm playing you and you weren't a mom yet.
Can I play? I'll be Alex. Hey, cutie. You come here often?
Hi, do you want a baby?
Oh, this is moving a bit fast. What the heck? Let's make the best little girl on Earth.
Of course you'll be the best.
How do you know?
Well, I'm the one making her in my belly, so...
Talking to you was intoxicating. Every time you opened your mouth, I was expecting the unexpected. I loved the way that your little brain continually managed to make sense of the world. But that day, the most astonishing thing was your assurance. How on earth did you have so much trust in me?
Oh, sorry about the noise.
Listen to me, Juno. You and Alex brought an extraordinary little girl into this world. Astrid was our sunshine. She gave us all a lot of light all through her tiny life. You were able to make such a being because you have it in you. The sun. And the sun never goes out. It shines. So hang on. And shine bright. I know you can. I'm proud of you.
You and Marie have a connection that's peculiar. You used to spend hours in her shop watching her paint. She loved that you were so curious. She smiled at you, explained stuff to you. She asked for your opinion about her work. Can you imagine? When I was 4 years old, I wasn't even allowed in her damn workshop. But you had something inside of you that completely changed her. Actually, I think this is what saved me that day. The idea that even Marie could be touched by a ray of sunlight. There had to be one out there for me too.
Damn, June, I can't believe it. I'm going to be a dad. We're going to be parents. When I got your picture, I yelled so loud, I think 3 guys here had a stroke. I'm just unable to focus on work. I'm so happy. It feels so... I feel like it's going to change my life.
I mean...
No, I mean, it's going to change me. Like, I'll never be the same again. I can't wait. And you, what do you think?
I think you should take the afternoon off and come home.
Oh, okay. But why? Is there an emergency? Do you need me?
I don't need you. But I am wondering what it's like to have sex with a dad.
Wow, what a weird thing to say. I'm on my way.
He was right, you know. Your dad. When you arrived, he changed to his core. Before you were born, he was always a bit lost, a bit wandering through his own life. But from the day you showed up, it was as if everything had become clear for him. As if he finally understood what he was doing here. It might be the right time for me to admit it, my little fawn. You don't have magical powers. You never had any. You didn't put us under a spell. Not Marie, nor your dad or I. It's easy to hide behind the fact that your being there made everything else possible. And to convince ourselves that your not being there is forever locking us out of being happy. But that's not true. The seeds that allowed us to change were always inside of us. Sure, they were buried deeply, but they couldn't wait to grow. And you were simply an incredible, a wonderful beam of sunlight.
You don't have to do this to me, Mom. You don't have to do this to yourself. How much longer do I have to make you miserable?
My little fawn, I can't do this to you. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive myself for what happened, but you've brought too much light in my life for me to reduce you to that.
What is that? Mom, what do you mean by that?
You know what I mean.
I do, but I'm not sure you do. So I'm going to need you to say it. What is that?
The accident. It was an accident.
Yes, it was an accident, Mom. I lived a life full of joy and laughter and vibrating plastic lightsabers.
You shouldn't ever have found that. And it wasn't a lightsaber.
You think I don't know that? I lived a great life full of love. I will always love Dad, Marie, Diane, and you for everything you've given me. For the cozy spot that you made for me in your lives. And then one day, there was an accident. It was an accident. Say it again.
It was an accident.
An accident. A disaster. A calamity. There's nothing to forgive. It's not your fault. You know that, right? Deep down.
Do I? Then why do I feel all this guilt?
Yeah, that's another mystery. You're angry. But are you sure that you're angry at yourself, Mom?
I don't know.
I believe in you. You'll figure it out. And when you do, you'll make the right decision. I think you're ready now.
I'm ready. Thank you, little fawn. Thank you for your help. You can leave now. I've got this.
I know. I love you very much, Mom.
Me too, Astrid. I love you very, very much. I know you'll always be with me. I can feel you are here, and it gives me strength. And I'm going to need a lot of that if I'm going to go in there. But Marie needs me, and we have a lot to talk about.
I guess I should have asked the doctor to give me a little something before I went into this room. You don't get free samples of benzos every day. Alright, Juno. Cut the bullshit.
Hi, Marie. Sorry I made you wait. I had to sort out a few things. A lot of things. But anyway, you knew I was coming eventually, didn't you? You've always had this weird gift of knowing what we're about to do before we even think about doing it. Once again, you were right. I'm here. But I almost didn't come in. I was close earlier, but I just stood outside the door. I was angry at you. I don't even know why. I mean, you're not exactly the warmest mother in the world. Still. Why are things so complicated between us? Why do I always feel so threatened when I'm around you? Come on. A crucifix? You? Wait, is it... I remember now. I've seen this before. Was that last night? Shit, now it's all hazy.
Alright, I'm gonna take a break here. That is The Wreck. Check it out. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Bye-bye.